Hello and welcome. My name is Pat and I'm a yoga instructor with the studio Yoga Within in Edmonton. Welcome to our beginner class. I'm delighted to have you with me. And I expect there's a range of people who perhaps have never done yoga, and congratulations for tuning in. Or some of you who have done yoga are looking for a gentle, slower class, or perhaps haven't done yoga for a long time. Whoever you may be, welcome. For those of you who haven't done yoga before, very important that I remind you to look after yourself. Yoga is really a personal practice. It's more of a getting to know your body, connecting with your body and your breath, as opposed to a practice that has an end goal in sight. So it's more developing awareness of your own body and caring for your own body with movement and breath and focus. So please do that. If you're healing from an injury or from surgery or an illness of any kind, please check with your healthcare provider to be sure that the movement that we will be doing here will be of benefit to you. We practice no harm, and that especially means no harm to ourselves. There are a few props. Most importantly is your mat. We use our mats. It kind of defines our little space and territory per se, but mainly it keeps us from slipping. So very important. If there's only one thing that you have when you do yoga, the mat is it. Sometimes we may use a strap like this. This is a yoga strap. You can use a bathrobe tie. You can use a necktie, skipping rope, anything that you have around the house that is firm. Blocks aren't essential. They sometimes support us in poses or allow us to kind of relax into a pose. This is a chip foam block. As I say, not essential at all, but if you have one already, have it ready when you tune into the class. This is a harder foam block, different dimensions, and we also use it sometimes. Neither of those are essential. Very handy thing to have is a tightly woven blanket. So not a light fluffy one like my white one behind me, but something that's quite firm in its weave, and we can use this in many different ways. So this is what I tend to use a lot in my own personal practice, and at times I'll show you in what way I do use it. So we will begin by settling in and letting go of what has been happening in your day prior to your coming to your mat. So find a very comfortable position to begin with. I would suggest lying down on your mat. If that's not what you choose and you wish to say sitting up, that's fine as well. If you choose to sit up, you may want to use either a small block or this blanket is very handy to just lift your hips up a little if you have any lower back pain, and it just tilts your pelvis a little bit farther forward and allows you actually to sit more upright. So find a very, very comfortable position for you. If you're on your back, just check your neck. Does it feel like your chin is tilted too much up? If you've got something handy, maybe put under your head. If you're feeling any lower back discomfort, bend both knees and have your foot soles on the floor. And then just take a nice, long, slow breath in. And a long, slow breath out. Do that about 3 more times in your own time. And as you do, just scan your body. Just have a even, calm breath in and out, no strain, no effort in the breathing. And scan your body and notice where you have perhaps places of ease and comfort. You may also experience spots that feel tense, tight, and you may have some discomfort, even pain. No stories, no judgment, just awareness. And they're just fine. It's just fine. Your body is just perfect in this moment in time as it is. Slowly bring your awareness back into the room. And if you have been sitting up, would you please lie down on your mat now, and we will begin lying down. My dog has come to visit. He will come and go. Likes to see what's going on in the class. So lying down, if you can see, I've just used my blanket folded so that it's comfortable for my head. And have your feet about in line with your hips, not the outside of your hips, but the middle of your hips here. And if you can have your legs straight. No, begin with your legs bent. Let's begin with our legs bent. And your foot soles on the floor. And be sure that you're comfortable. Now take your hands behind your right thigh. You're not pulling really, but just to give some support as you draw the thigh towards your abdomen. Draw it tight towards your abdomen. And if it doesn't reach too far, that's fine. Then extend out so that your arms are straight. Do that again. And perhaps breathe out as you draw your thigh to your abdomen. And breathe in as you take your leg away from your abdomen. Do that 2 more times. Just getting a little bit of movement in your hip. And away. And 1 more. And on this, hold here for a breath or 2. When you breathe in, and then squeeze tight and help the air move out of your abdomen. Now, release your hands and hold the foot up and just circle with your foot and your ankle in one direction. We'll circle about 10 times in one direction. Get some movement going in our ankles. You may hear a little bit of creaking going on. That's okay as long as it doesn't hurt. Just tendons and ligaments talking to us, our body talking to us. Go the other way. That's it. Try to do the same number going the other way. Then press your toes away to the wall farthest away from you, and then push through your heel and draw your toes to your nose. Do 3 more of those. Press, press, press. Stretching the top of the foot. Press through the heel. Let's do 1 more. Press away and press through the heel. And put that leg down. And now your other leg, your left leg. Take your hand behind your thighs, and we'll do the same thing here. So you may want to take a breath in here. And as you breathe out, draw your thigh towards your abdomen, however far it will go. Release out as you straighten your arms and bring it in again. And do that 3 more times, just in and out. And the last time that you come out, take a little deeper breath down into your abdomen, and as you breathe out, squeeze all the air out of your abdomen. Let's make this the last one. Big breath in, and close, and we have a talking dog. Hold that leg up, circle your foot in one direction and also in the other. Means somebody's walking by my place. I would say I would tape later, but this is what always happens. So he's just an added voice here in the class. He will stop. Press your toes away from your body and press through your heel and draw your toes to your nose. And back and forth. And back and forth. One more time, back and forth. He's a very chatty dog today. It's his birthday, so I'm allowing him a little leeway here. Also, he has me on my mat, so lift your left leg. Sorry, your right leg. Doesn't matter. One of your legs. And put your hand behind your thigh and keeping your other hand on the hip that is not moving, the leg that's not moving. Draw your hip out away from your body. Little movement in your hip joint and then bring it back. So you have your knee bent as if that leg were sitting in a chair and the other leg, the foot sole, is on the floor. Back and forth. Back, out, and in. Stretch up. Doesn't have to go straight towards the ceiling. And then lower your foot down. Foot sole on the floor with that knee still bent. We'll do the same with the leg that you didn't do just now. So take your hand behind your thigh. The other hand place on your hip to keep it down and remind yourself to keep equal weight on both sides, both your sits bones. And just draw that leg out, away from your body. As soon as you feel the opposite hip lifting, you've gone far enough. Bring it back in and out and in and out and in. Again, straighten that leg as best you can. If it doesn't go completely straight, that's fine. Bring it down and put your foot sole on the ground. Just rock back and forth. We call this windshield wiper legs. It's a nice little release for the lower back and get a little movement in our legs. Let's take our hands, interlace our fingers in the front of our chest. Turn our hands so that our palms are facing the ceiling and slowly press up. Just reaching out, keep your shoulders on your mat. We're not trying to reach forward and strain across our back. Just pressing up like that, a nice stretch for the wrists. Now take your hands overhead and whatever point your hands want to pull apart, that is just fine. Think about here, this part of your abdomen where your ribs are. Try to keep them from thrusting out. This is movement. Just keep your ribs in, and as your arms are going over, when they come apart, that's just fine, and slide them along the floor. Come back in front of you and interlace your fingers the opposite way, or the way that feels less comfortable or less natural. Press up again. Overhead, stretch, 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 stretch. Draw your ribs in. Release your hands at the point that feels good for you. I've got my props in the way here. Draw your hands along the floor. Come back in front. Interlace your fingers in the comfortable way. Press up again, keeping those shoulders on your mat. Overhead. And around along on the floor. Excellent, excellent. You can just give your shoulders a little bit of a roll here. And again, a gentle roll back and forth. Now, put both hands up towards the ceiling so your fingers are pointing to the ceiling, and fold your arms so that they're up in front of the shoulders. Slowly take your arms over to the left, still holding the elbows with your hands. Just as far as you can go. You don't have to be trying to get that elbow down on the floor. Just so you have a nice stretch in the shoulder you're stretching away from. Come back up to the center and over to the other side. Come up, over to the other side. Up and over. And just notice how your breath is. Is it quite even and calm? Just keep doing this. Not too strained. You don't want it strained at all. Up to the center, over to the other side, and release. Just give them a nice little shake. Shake out your fingers, rotate your wrists a bit. The other way. And then just make fists with your hands and release. Again, and release. Again, and release. Now roll over and come to sitting however you can. Now you have choices how you sit. You can sit cross-legged, as I'm doing, and I'll show you a couple ways of becoming more comfortable. You can use the phone, something like this, a small pillow works really well, like the pillows behind me, and just lift your hips up by tucking something under your tailbone like that. And if your legs are really straining and they're up high, no worry about that. Again, if you've got small pillows that you can put there to support, but I find what works really well, and I use this for years, is a blanket that you have in such a way that you can tuck it around, and I tuck it just under my hips there. And it gives nice support to your legs, and it allows your legs to relax and have ease, as opposed to when we're straining and holding them up, everything is tense. So we're looking for ease in yoga. So fine, you can sit like that. Another option is to sit forward with your legs straight or bent up a bit like that, or to sit with your legs out a little. You choose what way you want to sit now, and we will move into a very gentle forward bend. Before we do that, just check. See if you can line up your shoulders pretty much over your hips, which means I'm rising up out of my pelvis. Tall, tall. Have your chin tucked a little. Many of us from working on computers have gotten in the habit of having our chin, I'm exaggerating, but just a little bit higher than it needs to be. So just tuck your chin a little, and again, draw those ribs in. If you take the edges of both hands and tuck them right in your hip creases here, now we're going to do what we call a ragdoll forward fold, where you just round your back gently, round your shoulders, and place your hands down on the floor in front of you. Whichever way you're sitting. You could have your legs out, you could have your legs out with your knees bent a bit. Whatever way you find is comfortable. You might be sitting right up on a cushion. That might help you and support you best. Now, when you're like this, just very slowly walk forward with your hands. And when you pause, give gentle pressure back to help your sits bones stay down on the mat. And if you find that they're lifting, you don't need to go any farther. You're perfect just where you are. If you feel you go a little farther, do, and feel a stretch wherever you feel it in your body. People say to us, where should I be feeling it? And where you should be feeling it is exactly where you are feeling it. We're all so different. Now, walk back up to upright. Let's go down again. And back up. And one more time. And this time when we're down, let's go over to your right. Just as far as is comfortable for you, and you feel a nice stretch, hopefully on your left side. And just take a couple of breaths there. Come back to the middle. Over to the middle. And back. And walk yourself up. Let's do a little twist. We've been working in our lower back. Take your left hand and place it on the outside of your right knee. With your right hand, need to move that. You can place it beside you on the mat here, or a little bit back behind you, whichever is comfortable for you. And just take a nice breath in and slowly turn, keeping both sits bones on the ground. You don't want that left hip to be lifting. So just go gently around. Do not worry about turning your neck. Our neck we take good care of. So just, this is a lower back pelvic twist. And breathe. Just breathe slowly in and out. On an exhale, if you can, release it and come over to the other side. Okay, now I have my right hand on the outside of my left knee. I turn around. I place my left hand behind me, can be beside you, and gently twist. Release it and come back. And pause. Place your right hand beside your hip on your mat, just flat. And with your left hand, just place it in your waist and do a nice side bend, bending this elbow that's down on the mat. You can stretch it out a bit. Try to keep your shoulders, try not to fold forward like that. Keep your shoulders in line if you can, as best you can, and lean over. Also, try not to drop your head down like that. Your head weighs 8 to 10 pounds. And it's very hard on your neck when you do that. And holding it in line with your spine is also a nice way to strengthen your neck muscles a little. They do a lot of work, a lot of really good work for us. Okay, inhale up. And let's do the other side. Nice little side bend. Place your left hand on your mat. Stretch up. Keep your shoulders aligned. Let that hand slide out and over. And breathe. Breathe here. And come up. Let's come up to standing. Just come out however you can. And we'll just take a look at the mountain pose, which is a wonderfully strong pose. We always talk about our foundation in yoga, and our foundation is that which is supporting us. So in this case, it's our feet that are supporting us. Quite obvious, it's stating the obvious. And as you look down, try to have your ankles line up about here on your hips. We'll say line up with your hips so that we say hip width distance apart. Draw up through your center, engage your core gently. Place your hand on your back and just be aware of a natural curve that you have here when you have your shoulders above your hips. Now for some people it might be a fairly pronounced curve. For some people they may not have too much of a curve. But what is your natural curve when you're standing tall? You want to be familiar with that. Looking down at my feet, again my foundation, I also have the outer aspects of my feet lined up parallel to the ends of my mat. And you probably will feel a little pigeon-toed, like that. It may not come naturally to you, it probably won't, unless you have a tendency to walk that way. But this way, our hips are nicely aligned, the ball and socket joint in our hip joint. Roll your shoulders up and down, and tuck your chin. And that is a very, very strong mountain pose. Lift your right foot up and hover and see how your balance is today. Hover, hover. If you have to put your toe down, that's fine, that's fine. We're just being curious to see how our balance is. And do that on the other side. Just hover. Balance is very important, especially as we age. I can say that because of my gray hair. And it helps us to keep upright and have the strength to help us to avoid falls. And just rock back and forth on your toes, like that. Good. Excellent. Now, place your hands on your hips again. We're going to do just a very, very gentle back bend. I'll go sideways so you can see. So I'm lining up my feet in my nice strong mountain pose again. Now a back bend is not about scrunching down like this. The energy comes up through our legs, up through our body, and it really is a nice arc in our back. I don't want to collapse. So for today, just think of drawing this part of your chest forward, keeping your ribs in if you can, and creating a gentle bend right through here in your back as you lift your eyes perhaps to where the wall meets the ceiling. And breathe. Just breathe in there. And release. And come forward, bend your knees. Place your hands on your knees. Or you may also want to go down so your elbows are on your knees and thighs, just to release that back bend. If you're dizzy in this position, always stay up a little more upright. Come back down to your mat. And we're coming already towards the end of the class. The classes are about 30 minutes long. So if you can, please lie on your mat for the last part of the class, which is Shavasana. And it really is a time to just let your body integrate the movement that it's experienced during the class. If you really choose not to lie on your mat, then sit in a comfortable position, supported with the props that help you. So make yourself just as comfortable as you possibly can. You may want A little stretch before you stay in the position. Now take again a nice calming slow breath in and slow breath out. And again. Nice, even in, even out. And just notice how your body feels. Just be curious. You might want to scan it again, or your attention may be drawn to different areas. Do you notice an awareness that your body has been moving? Think of breathing in peace and breathing out release. And have gratitude to yourself for taking the time for yourself to come to your mat. If you would like, when the class ends, to stay in this position for a while, please do. You don't need to rush back to your day. Your day is always there, waiting for you. If you choose to, come up in your own way to a sitting position, and I will end the class. But again, as I say, if you choose to stay, please do. If you've come up to sitting, draw wide with your hands the energy in the room, positive energy you have created. Draw it into your heart center. And if you wish, put your hands, the palms together at your heart center. I close my class with Namaste, and it has many meanings, but for me, Namaste means the light in me honors the light in you. Namaste. Thank you.